Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot divination for Thursday, the 23rd day of June, 2022. Get my tea over here. We have cottonwood trees, and if you have cottonwood trees or you've had them, you know what happens at some point in June or 1st of July or whatever. Usually it's in June. They shed. They shed their little whatevers and it opens up and there's cotton everywhere. Literally, it looks like cotton. It looks like snow floating through the air. Just it and and it is terribly difficult allergy wise. And so it's starting and I literally have to pull out. It looks like cotton batting when it accumulates on the ground, and so you have to pull it out from the beds so that you can actually water. Because I swear to God, it creates this I don't know, this sealant or something on top of the ground, and water will not penetrate that stuff. So you pull it off and the ground's completely dry, and you can't. It's like, oh, so that's why the plants are dying, because you can't just water on top of it, right? You've got to pull it all off of there. It gets all in the juniper shrubs. I mean, it's a mess every year. It's a mess, and sinus wise and allergy wise, oh Lord, it's awful. So anyway, apologies if I have to sniff a lot today. So anyway, anyhow, I hope you guys have had a good week. I have actually been on jury duty for the last 2 weeks, and I got called in. We did the orientation a week ago, Monday and Tuesday. We got called in for the voir dire for a trial, and I didn't get on the jury. So I've been sitting here waiting. I've got to call in tonight and find out if I'm doing anything tomorrow. But so far, I've not done anything but those 2 days. So hopefully it's over and I don't have to worry anymore, but we'll see. We got one more day, but no one's been called in since Tuesday. So I guess the trial's taking longer or something. I don't know what's going on, but anyhow, let's see what today's esoteric influences are from the post that I do weekly. We have with the 23rd day, that 23 reduces to 5. So change, momentum, protection, innovation, travel. It's also significant in terms of the pentagram. So all elements plus spirit. Gebo is the rune for today. It looks like an X. That's the gift or reciprocity or balanced energy exchange with others. Marriage, partnership. It's literally Kenaz in all directions. Is when you look at it visually, that's what Gebo looks like when you break it down like that. Anyway, Kata Draconis, one of the Draconi. This one represents the south node of the moon, or the dragon's tail. It means endings. Means the lower kingdom. It's maybe the harbinger of disaster. It could be evil. But basically, you're looking at karma or past life influence or past experience influence. It doesn't have to be evil. It's just, I don't know. Geomancers of old were into that sort of thing. I'm really not. So I shouldn't probably even say it, except that that's one of the keywords for it. So anyway, the sun's in Cancer, the moon's in Aries until it shifted to Taurus this morning at 5:58, so just a little while ago. Let's see, planetary governance today is Jupiter, and that's if you're working magic. So for today, you search for meaning to your experiences and you're ready to expand your knowledge base. That's that Jupiter energy there. You love sharing what you've learned with others, and much of your current focus centers on health-oriented issues, spirituality included. Let go of old paradigms and belief structures that interfere with inner growth and extend yourself in reciprocity to others today. Remain sensitive to underlying changes that occur while understanding that struggle is simply part of the process. This is a time where your values and principles challenge existing norms. Excuse me. So be aware of any superficial support from others who really aren't on the same path as you are. So, because sometimes they like to do things to interfere with what you're doing. So anyway. Yeah, I hate when the cottonwood sheds. It's awful. It's just awful. My eyes just they weep. It's horrible. So I need to really up the ante on the nettle in my herbal tea today. That'll help. It's weird. I mean, nettle is you touch it, you get a reaction, and so you get an allergic reaction, and so it's odd to think that nettle can actually help with allergies, and yet it does. Here we have Othala for today. For the as above side, the Elder Futhark rune. Othala is the 24th rune of the Elder Futhark. You see Ingus at the top. You see Gebo at the bottom. And Othala is it's really about tradition. It's about ancestral heritage, possessions, protection, the culmination of everything that we've learned, in a sense, over the course of our incarnation into form. And so you're really looking at the Akashic record of our lives that contributes to the greater higher consciousness, the greater collective consciousness, or the greater Akashic record of everything. Again, with Ingus on top, you're looking at Kenaz in all directions turned inward. And that sudden, it means, Ingus means the seed, and so it's that sudden release of energy. So in a sense, if it's the culmination, it's also the release into something new, and taking all that you've learned with you that matters, basically. And then you have, basically on the other end of it with Gebo, you have Kenaz in all directions outward, and so it's the sudden release of energy into form, basically, and the expression of light both inward and outward. So in a sense, it's kind of a transition point, really. Some rune masters will put Dagaz at the end. I've played around with it both ways. They switch them, and Othala is the next to the last one. It's the 23rd, not the 24th. But I don't know. I've played around with it both ways, and I finally just put it back with Othala at the end. It just seems to make more sense, but I get why they do it, because literally it's the end of one phase and the beginning of another. So you would take all that you learned and then put it into that Dagaz energy, where you bring things to its conclusion and begin again, and into a new experience, a new form, if you will, whether it's coming back into human bodies here or going somewhere else. So I see why they do it, but I finally just relented and put it back at the end. I don't know why. It just felt right. And maybe it's not. I mean, we don't really know, do we? Let's see. Today's Geomancy rune is going to be Puella. Let me find that for you here. And let's see. It was Akata, so we are not going to align other than a little bit with Gebo. That's Puella. Here's Puella. Now Puella is scattered little girl energy, very curious. Fortunate, but not too fortunate, as they say. But it's a very positive rune. It's just that your focus is scattered in a lot of directions. I've said before that I grew up as a Puella or a Puea, however you want to say it, and literally it's just that I wanted to know everything about everything. So there's a little bit of superficiality to that. Maybe you don't, learn all of the details necessarily before your mind is like going somewhere else. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't go back and learn that. It's just that initial focus where things are kind of, here, there, and everywhere, but in a good way. So in terms of our Othala energy, I think that maybe we're scattering that light, in a lot of different directions. We're concerned about a lot of different things maybe today. Maybe that's the better way to say it. Because again, if we're talking about possessions and security and loyalty and tradition and all of that, then it's really about the fundamental aspects of our lives. And so there may be a lot of different concerns today that you have that are about that. But let's see what the tarot cards say, and maybe that'll give us a little more information about what we're concerned about here. Well, we've got one card from the Major Arcana here, one from Pentacles and one from Cups. Now, the one from the Major card, Major Arcana, that one is the Star. And so you're looking at, well, I mean, you're looking at both earth and water here with the star, just initially, and you'll see why here in a moment. But let's go ahead uh, well, let's start with the star. I was going to do that second, but let's start with the star. Here we have the goddess nude, and she's pouring, she's got one foot in the water and one knee on the land. And she's pouring water into the pool and pouring water onto the ground. So, element of water, element of earth. And so we have cups and we have pentacles. All right. Same with the cups and the pentacles. Here are the other two cards. Now, the star, is literally when we wish upon a star. Okay. It's our hopes, our wishes, our dreams. It's transformation. It's insight, inspiration, dreams. What are we dreaming of here today? What are our concerns? What are we hopeful for today? Well, the Two of Cups is saying that we're hopeful for some healing. Now, this can literally mean the polarity within, okay? But maybe it's not. Maybe it's healing something between you and another person. We see the winged lion up here. We see the caduceus here. So this is all about healing and strength. We see the line of demarcation here. And there's the couple are standing here, and the home is over here. So there's something about, again, home could mean Othala. All right. And so something about the tradition, something about the foundation, something about that relationship needs to be healed. And it's interesting that we see, if we view this in terms of the masculine and the feminine, or the projective and receptive presence, that's in terms of inner polarity, we see the masculine side taking the step toward and reaching out toward the receptive side. So the masculine side is giving a little. So maybe in terms of your relationships with others, perhaps you've been a little too insistent on your own way or whatever, and you're having to realize, well, there needs to maybe be a little bit better balance. Maybe I need to listen to people a little more, something like that. But literally, maybe the masculine side of self has gotten a little bit out of alignment. Now, if it's not that, if it's not polarity, and it really is about you and someone else, it could be that a man, if you're a woman hearing this, maybe a man in your life you're having issues with, and he's taking the first step, okay? But this doesn't have to necessarily represent gender, okay? This doesn't have to necessarily do that. This literally can be the aggressive side of self is deciding, okay, I'm going to reach for that other person and I'm going to try to heal the situation. I'm going to maybe drop some resistance that maybe I've been having. Again, I just think that there's a level of polarity here that we don't consider if we simply look at the two individuals on the card. But that said, it could be simply that two individuals, a man and a woman, are having an issue today or have been having an issue, and they're going to talk about it. And the man is taking the first step to make that happen. Because maybe the man is the one that might be in the wrong, you see. Maybe. But again, I think that just it defines it too specifically. So just kind of keep your mind open on that one as to whether or not, this is really about two individuals or whether it's about the masculine and feminine polarity within. And are we asserting ourselves too much and not listening enough, basically? Responding in judgment versus compassion and understanding. So you see the two sides of the same coin there. And as the hopes and the wishes for that kind of security, we see that here in the Eight of Pentacles. So the hopes and wishes for the better Othala in our lives, a little less scattered focus. See, this guy's, he's very focused on what he's doing. Here we see a workman. He's away from the town or away from his home, but I think it's really probably the town. And he's out away from everything, and he's working diligently on his craft, isn't he? Creating his wealth, creating his what he has to share with the community, what he has to share with the family. And again, it's about security, right? In this case, financial security. And that's part of Othala. When you look at security, tradition, possessions, the collective aspect of things, He's doing this on behalf not only of himself to secure his own future, but maybe for his family, if this is in fact his home. You could say that he's out there diligently working to secure, to provide financial security for his home and family. And you see this progressing upwards, so he's growing all of that, okay? So we got 8 and 2 is 10, so that's 1. We've got 17, that's 8, so that's 9. We have a 9 energy, 9 numerology for the reading. Did I do that right? 1 and, see, 17 is 8 and, yeah, 8 and 1 is 9. Yes, I did. Anytime I do this in my head, especially when I've got, allergies. It's like, give me a calculator. Anyway, so 9's about endings and completion. So there's a sense of completion with the 2. We've got a sense of balance also with the 2. Cups is also about love. So is the 2. Reciprocity. That aligns with Gebo today from the esoteric influences. There's reciprocity there and healing. So there's a sense of agreeing that there was a problem and now we're going to fix it, maybe. We're going to talk about it. We're going to heal whatever this dynamic is between us. My husband sees things more pointedly. I see the bigger picture. So we can together, if we can come together on that, then we can talk about the whole thing and each offer our own perspective. If we can't, then you can see where that could be a problem. And so we would need a card like this to say, okay, it's time to come together in reciprocity and healing and growth and all of that. And when we wish upon a star, we're wishing for balance between water and earth, basically. And so we're really talking about understanding compassion and reciprocity and healing in terms of our fundamental security, maybe. So maybe there's been a situation between you and a partner where you can't really come to an agreement on how to keep the home fires burning, basically. How are we approaching paying the bills? Maybe there's a financial thing. Maybe you want to do something in addition to what, something new or something. You want to do something, a project or something, and you're not really sure how you're going to pay for it. And so maybe they're at odds with something like that. There's a lot of financial stuff going on in the astrology chart, the transit charts for each day, this week and next week, where finances are coming into play, and maybe people aren't in sync over how to do that. Maybe how one is doing it is not working for the other person or something, so there's just some issues where conversations have to happen, and especially if there's a rift, because usually with this there means that something's happened, and you need to heal whatever that was. And again, with the 8 of Pentacles, this just looks like it has something to do with finances. So, but the idea with the star is not only are you looking for inspiration, you're looking for transformation and insight and all of that. That's going to benefit then the decision that you make to come back together in reciprocity, and having to do with either increasing your financial security or something that you're wanting to do that you're just not in sync about. So listen to what the other person has to say. Be careful how you come across, and try to do things as dispassionately as possible. And I know that especially where finances come in, sometimes that's not so easy to do, right? So, but I think if you do that, I think that you'll get a lot further than if nobody's listening to one another. So, but that's kind of interesting that we have the star in the center of, as it's almost like it's a secondary significator to the runes today. The focus gets a little scattered with Puella, although I think everybody's intentions are good. Maybe we're just not listening to one another today, and that needs to change, uh, so that you can get on the same page of how you're going to deal with whatever financial issue that you're dealing with. So, and again, with the focus here being off with a little bit off with Puella, um, the answer is having the inner strength to be diligent. That's the answer to that, because he's working diligently on creating, something here, financial security for himself and likely his family. So I guess that's it. That's a pretty simple one. Money. Well, I mean, it's a common thing that people have to cope with, and I just think that sometimes we get caught up in our own ideas, and we forget that maybe there's somebody else that has something to offer too, and I just think the Two of Cups really speaks to that. You just have to drop resistance and hear the other person, and be willing to not get your back up and all of that. So I guess that's it. Thanks so much for watching. And thanks for coming by. If you haven't yet clicked subscribe, I hope you'll do that and come back. And if you've come back after doing so, then yay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I just like I like runes. I like tarot. I like thinking about the kinds of ideas that they present, and applying them to my own daily life. And I hope that you're finding that helpful as well. So have a good weekend, and hopefully you're not surrounded by cottonwood trees like I am. I'm not completely surrounded, but there's some really big ones out there, and it's when it starts floating in the air. I just stay inside. I don't know what else to do, because otherwise I can't breathe. So have a great weekend, and come back again on Monday for another edition of a non-jury duty week issue edition rather of As Above So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.